Now that we've gone over standard form, we need to go over how to graph something in standard form. So to be able to graph something in standard form, you need to be able to find the x and y intercepts. The x and y intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis for the x-intercept and the y-axis for the y-intercept. So right now what we're going to do is we're just going to go over looking at the equation and figuring out what the x and y intercept is. So our first example is 4x minus y is equal to negative 4. This is in standard form. All the variables are on the left side. They're in alphabetical order, no fractions, and the first one's not negative. A great way to do this is to write the equation twice. So I've already got it written once. I'm going to write it down over here again. To find the x-intercept, I do not need the y. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm going to look for the x-intercept first, I'm going to mark out this part right here. And I'm going to solve this little equation that's left over. The little equation that's left over is 4x is equal to negative 4. To solve that equation, what do I need to do to both sides? Divide by 4. And I'm going to get x is equal to negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. So the x-intercept, and here's the abbreviation for x-intercept, is negative 1. That's where this line right here crosses the x-axis at negative 1. So if I'm looking for the x-intercept, I mark out the y. I don't need that. Same thing if I'm looking for the y-intercept. So let's use this equation to figure out what the y-intercept is. Since I'm looking for the y-intercept, I mark out the x, and I solve the little equation that's left over. This is a negative 1 in front of this y. So I need to divide both sides by negative 1. Y is equal to a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So the y-intercept, and this is the abbreviation for y-intercept, is 4. This is where this line right here would cross the y-axis. So if I need to find the y-intercept, I mark out the x. I don't need that part. Example number 2. I need to find the x and y-intercept for this problem. So to find the x and y-intercept, I'm going to rewrite the equation over here. The first thing I'm going to do is find the x-intercept. So I'm going to mark through this part right here, and I'm going to solve the little equation that's left over. The little equation that's left over is 16x is equal to 16. Divide both sides by 16. X is equal to 16 divided by 16 is 1. The x-intercept is 1. Now I need to find the y-intercept. If I'm looking for the y-intercept, I don't need the x. I solve this equation that's left over. The opposite of multiplying by 19 is dividing by 19. Y is equal to, you don't always get a whole number. A lot of times this will be a fraction. So I just simply write my answer as a fraction, 16/19. The y-intercept is 16/19. Example number 3. Example number 3, I need to find the x and y-intercept. That's going to help me graph something that's in standard form. Again, you need to make sure it's in standard form. All the variables need to be on the left side. They need to be in alphabetical order. No fractions. First one can't be negative. This checks out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it twice to help me figure out what the x and y-intercept is. I'm going to look for the x-intercept first. If I need the x-intercept, I don't need the y. I solve this little equation that's left over. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. X is equal to 9/2. My x-intercept is 9/2. Sometimes you will probably need to write this as a mixed number so that you can truly or easily graph it. Because that's what we're doing. We're finding the x and y-intercept so that we can graph these things when they're in standard form. I found the x-intercept. I need to find the y-intercept. If I'm looking for the y-intercept, I do not need the x. I need to solve this. Opposite of multiplying by 6, dividing by 6. Y is equal to 9/6. Another thing, All fractions must be in lowest terms. So the y-intercept for this one, what number will go into 9 and 6? 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And again, if I was actually going to use the y-intercept for this, I would change this to a mixed number so I could find it on the graph. Example number 4. Example number 4, I'm going to write the equation twice so I can find both the x and the y-intercept. I need to make sure this is in standard form. All the variables are on the left side. Alphabetical order. First one's not negative. No fractions. I'm going to look for the x-intercept first. That means I don't need anything associated with the y. This one is already solved for me. It says x is equal to negative 2. So that is what my x-intercept is. My x-intercept is negative 2. And usually when they come out to be whole numbers like this, they're extremely useful. Easy to graph down on a graph. You go on the x-axis and you put a point at negative 2. I need to find the y-intercept. That means I don't need the x right here. Opposite of multiplying by negative 6 is dividing by negative 6. Y is equal to, remember, a negative divided by negative is a positive, and this needs to be put in lowest terms. What number will go into 2 and 6? 2. I'm going to divide both of these by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. My y-intercept for this one is 1/3.